Welcome to the Monster in My Head show, a podcast where we talk to real people about the real issues and insecurities a lot of us face, as well as discuss unique ways to overcome them. I am your host, Bree. So happy you're here. So today is going to be a very special episode because we're actually not talking to somebody else today. We're actually going to have a conversation, you and I, about a topic that I'm really passionate about, which is overcoming the noise in order to better focus. So I'm going to be just kind of giving a couple tips and tricks that I've learned over the years that have kind of helped me really gain better focus. It's helped me get projects done, organize my time properly, and just wanted to share that with you in case it might be helpful. Before we get started, I want to say that this episode was inspired by a song that I have that just came out called Noise off of my album Playing with Power. This whole song is about this topic of overcoming the noise, not adding to it on social media, not adding to it in your life, learning how to better focus. And it's a song that I'm actually really, really proud of. So if you want to take a listen to it, you can do so in the link in the description. You can listen to the rest of my album. I'll talk a little bit more about that after the episode, but just wanted to point that out and make sure you knew it was there. The first tip is to set a really strong morning routine. I know for myself that when I would wake up an hour before I had to work, and the first thing I did was look at my phone, look at Instagram, look at TikTok, I would start the day feeling really foggy. I'd feel distracted. And I would start working and just not really be able to focus as much as I'd like to. It'd be more of a struggle. What I realized was when I was looking at my phone and looking at social media specifically, what it kind of does, it puts your brain in kind of like distraction mode, right? Because you're looking at these videos one after the other, and you're not really focusing on anything. And when you wake up that way, your brain then kind of sets itself to continue acting that way for the rest of the day. At least that's what I've found. So something that I've started doing now is waking up 2 hours before I have to work, having an hour in the morning to meditate, to do yoga, not looking at my phone the entire time, and then have another hour for a very slow breakfast, as well as doing some stuff for my own project, kind of doing things that are important to me before I start work. Obviously, that is not a prescription morning routine. That's not the one you have to follow, but my first tip definitely is to recognize what you need in the morning to set you up for success. So if that's a cold shower, if that's being able to make a really good breakfast, if that's having time to work out or go on a run, whatever you have to do to kind of set yourself up to feel really good for the rest of the day, doing that every single morning, at least on the weekdays, will help make your focus better. So the next tip is to prioritize the things that are most important to you. So I heard it this really cool, I think it's an analogy, or maybe it was an example that I think a professor gave, where she put and this is very well known, but I'm going to repeat it anyway. She put a vase on a table and she had big rocks, small rocks, and sand. And she was asking her class, how do you fit all of this into this vase? Some people would start with sand, some people would start with small rocks. And if they did that, not all of it would fit. But when you start with the big rocks, you put the big rocks first and then the medium and then the small, everything is kind of able to settle into its place. And the example that she was trying to showcase there was to prioritize the thing that's the most important to you first, and then you fit the rest of your life around that. So I know for myself that I'm really passionate about doing projects like this, like the podcast, doing music. And so I will make sure to prioritize time in my day when I'm not feeling tired, when I'm not feeling distracted, usually in the morning, to at least do a little bit of work on the stuff that makes me excited, the stuff that I want to prioritize. Then I'm putting my full attention, my most fresh state of mind into doing those things, and kind of starting that momentum, even when I have to go back in and finish the rest of my workday, starting my momentum in that way. I've noticed that has helped me get a lot more done. So the second tip is just to prioritize the things that you really like doing. Even if you have a job, let's say a job that you don't like, or are having to do things you don't want to do, of course you have to do those things. But I think identifying what are some times where you can really sit down and prioritize the things that mean something to you. So the third step is to stop distracting yourself and breaking your flow. Again, for me, when I check my phone, if I get in a habit in the morning of like checking my phone too much, Instagram, text, email, I will notice that I will constantly be picking it up and looking at it. It's habitual at that point. It's not that I'm actually checking. It's like more of an addictive habit. And I notice that when you break your flow in little ways like that, that accumulates to where then you're just kind of more distracted in general. So if you're able to kind of turn off your phone, or at least prevent yourself from picking it up and looking at social media or looking at texts that are going to take your attention away from the project that you're trying to get done, that will really help kind of like get your focus more aligned. It'll just help you focus more. My next tip is setting small goals for yourself to help you build momentum throughout the day. So there are some experts that kind of speak against this, but I know for myself that when I make a list of things that I need to do, I will start off with like very small things if I'm not feeling motivated that day. For example, if I wake up and I'm like, I just really don't want to do anything, I will put on my list, eat breakfast, brush teeth, like start work. And by crossing those things off of my list, I then feel like I'm able to gain momentum to start dealing with the bigger stuff that I have on my list that day. I don't know if you need to do that all the time. I don't do it all the time, but especially when I'm not feeling motivated or feeling really unfocused, I will kind of create small goals for myself that are easy to achieve in order to help me gain the momentum to achieve the bigger goals that I have for my day. The next tip is to reward yourself for doing things well. I'm a firm believer in if you do something in your day that you didn't want to do, but you knew you had to. For example, doing laundry and going to the grocery store. I really don't like doing either of those things, but I know that I have to wear clean clothes and feed myself. And so a lot of times after I go do my laundry and I go to the grocery store, I'll pick up like a small little smoothie at the grocery store that I can drink on the way back. It's a way to kind of reward myself and be like, hey, I know you didn't want to do that, but good job. You did it. Here's a little reward. I'm trying to almost train myself to do the things that I don't want to do by just giving myself small rewards to help motivate myself. So not that that will work for everyone, but I know for me, it really does help be like, okay, well, if I go to the grocery store, I can get a smoothie. And I really like smoothies. And that kind of leads into the last point, which is taking care of yourself. I know for me, something that I tended to do was just to work myself too hard. I would stay so focused for so long that I would be working for hours and hours and hours, but then I would leave that day feeling really burned out. So I think another really great thing for focus is to know when to take breaks, is to find different like kind of chapters of the things that you're doing so that you're able to be like, all right, I got this amount done. I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break, but then I'm going to come back. Taking care of yourself and not allowing yourself to burn out will really help your focus in the long run. Because I can tell you from experience, when you burn out after working too much, it is really hard to kind of get back into the swing of things and get back in the flow. So the more that you can do maintenance throughout the day, weeks, months, years, rather than having to do recovery, the more focused you'll stay in the long run, if that makes sense. So those are my tips. I hope those are helpful. I know some of them might be kind of basic, but to be honest, these are things that I kind of just discovered for myself that has actually really helped me getting a lot of stuff done. It's also helped me kind of cut out the noise that I see around me, like in social media, in ads, all the different stuff. And it kind of helps me just focus on the things that I need to do, what I want to be focusing on and putting my time into. So hopefully that can be helpful for you. And again, if you want to listen to my song Noise, you can click the link in the description. It'll take you right there. I would love to hear what you think. I'm really excited about this song. I'm excited about the music video. I have a behind the scenes video coming out. It's been a lot of fun working on this one as well as the entire album. So I'd love for you to hear it and let me know what you think. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like it, subscribe, comment, whatever you want to do. And I will see you next week.